And welcome back. We have with us on set Suzette Zaiden, who's the founder of the Belize Film Festival and is no stranger to us and to this event. We have as well visiting with us Dan Mirvish. It was close. Who's a director, screenwriter, producer, and author. And we also have with us a content creator, none other than Nicole Brooks. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Now, the film festival, you're telling me, started, the activities have started from today.
Right. It's officially opening on Thursday, but we begin with a preview event today. And we're introducing a new category called the Green Globe category, which focuses on environment.
Yes. Now, to just give some context to it, what is the film festival and what is the purpose of it?
Okay, when we started about in 2003, the objective of the festival was to inform and share information with the Belizean public about cultures and places that were similar to us in terms of stories that they're telling us, and but happening in different places. I'm not sure if I'm clear, but film is such a universal medium that we wanted to expose the public to the fact that life does not begin and end in Belize. And many Belizeans were not traveling as much back then, not as many students. Like right now, a lot of students are traveling all over the place and you're seeing all this stuff. But it was not as much as you see now. So we wanted to bring up filmmaking as a potential career to people. We wanted the public to see films that were not only Hollywood-based films that we were watching on the TVs. You know, we really only get, we used to only get US cable. So that's all they ever saw. They never saw films from Central America. They never saw films from the rest of the Caribbean. And so it was an opportunity for them to be exposed to these different cultures. And then it evolved. It went farther. We brought in people as well so that potential filmmakers, in fact, there was a group of young people starting to be interested in making films, and we wanted them to meet filmmakers who had made films. Because when you hear about making films, you hear it's going to cost 100,000, 500,000, $1 million. I'm never going to be able to make a film. Yes. So I knew a lot of struggling filmmakers who had made films, and I said, listen, we'll bring all the people we know who have made films, and they can get tips from them and learn how to make films, even if you're broke. So we started going from there, and it evolved each year to where it is today.
Which brings us to now and the two guests that we have in our country. One from Hollywood,
yes.
Los Angeles, California, or from California.
Yeah.
And one from Canada. What factored into the invitations to these two? What angle are we going on for this year?
Well, what happens with our jurors, we started having jurors in 2012 when we started getting a bunch of...
Jurors as in court jurors?
Well, pretty much that, as in this is a competitive festival.
Yes.
So someone has to choose the winners. Yes. And so in 2012, by then we had started seeing submissions from the Belizean public, and we wanted to ensure also that the decision was fair.
Yes.
You know how that goes. And also we were concerned because the only prize we were offering up to that point was audience choice, and the audience varied in each film depending on the time, and so we wanted to become more serious, and we thought we were ready to invite jurors to come to ensure that every film that was submitted was actually seen by the judges. So it wasn't just you won if everybody showed up at the opening night. If your film was the opening night and then everybody chose that and then nobody shows up, like only 20 people shows up at another one. So we wanted to level the playing field. So since 2012 we've been having jurors, and I've been we've chosen 3, and we try very hard to have a diverse jury. So we try to have someone from the US or Europe to give that perspective. We try to invite someone from Latin America with that background, and someone from the Caribbean. And it's been interesting because they sit there and they watch each other and they're like, how am I gonna be on your wave? Then it's a little bit tricky, but it's also, I thought, fair as well, because that's what we are. We are a Caribbean country in the heart of Central America with all these diverse. We have about 13 ethnic groups. You know how we are. For us, it's normal. For them, it's not so normal. But in this regard, well, we have another juror who's the Latin component. He's not here today with us, but he's in the country.
So that surely it also raises the level of assessment to not a local one, but something that is international. We're not just, these are international standards, not just Albert Street standards. But maybe I can ask Dan, what makes a good film? You have covered everything that, to me, as a lay person, makes a film. So what, from your practical standpoint, makes a good film?
Well, first and foremost, it needs to entertain the audience. You know, there has to be an engagement with the audience, and you know, and take the audience on some sort of a journey, an emotional journey or a physical journey. That's some of my work.
Oh, wow.
Your journey is happening.
With a comfortable no, huh?
Right. You know, and leave them with, and I think an important thing is does the audience walk away, you know, changed or affected or happy, if it's a happy movie, or sad if you want to make a sad movie. And I think that's, as filmmakers, that's what we try to do, is try to convey our vision and somehow get the audience to buy into that, to believe it. And it's an honor and a privilege to be here in Belize. And,
it's your first time?
It is my first time.
Belize is addictive. Careful.
Yeah, no, I hope so. I hope so.
Well, Dan is actually the founder of the Slam Dance Festival, which he can tell you about. I've been hearing about it from it started, and I was always curious about which upstart film festival this was. But he can tell you a little bit more.
Yeah, so I started a film festival in the States. It's the same time as Sundance. You've heard of Sundance Film Festival. So we're right across the street from them. Literally a snowball's throw across the street. You may not have snowballs in Belize, but
no, we don't.
Trust me, there's snowballs. And you know,
we have fresco. We have snow cones.
Yes, snow cones. It's the snow cones throw across the street from Sundance, but our focus has been on first-time directors, and also we're very international. We have filmmakers from all over the world.
Film festivals like the Belizean one, what opportunities does it create for the persons who are actually making entries into the festivals?
Well, I think whatever country you make your film in, you know, what's great is to show your film to the rest of the world, because you know, because there are so many universal themes, but specific cultures. And so if you make a film in the States, or you make a film in Canada, but then you bring it to Belize, or you bring it to Brazil or Japan, the audience takes something different from it. And it's great as filmmakers, and I know many filmmakers are going to be here. You know, you have Q&A discussions with the audience afterwards, or panel discussions, or meeting other filmmakers, or meeting the jurors, and you get these the spirit of collaboration. You see it at many film festivals. You know, filmmakers will meet other people. They'll meet actors. They'll meet producers. They'll meet locations. Come film in Belize. You know, and then that's where their next film may come out of those experiences. You know, you spend 5 years, you know, making a film in your home country, like probably in your apartment eating ramen noodles. You need to go out and see the world again to get inspired to make the next stories.
And maybe at this time you can ask Nicole to jump in. Belize has a unique story. Even if it's not about Belize, there are a different angle that can be placed. And one of my favorite movies was City of God. And it's just about somebody else, so it was different. We had, a couple weeks ago, we had persons who came in and talked to us about the opportunities coming in, what Netflix is looking for. Could you talk to us about, and making a film is a form of art. Are there rules to it? The structure is just a certain way? Does it have to have the Mirvish project looking thing, or does it have to have the Memento sort of vibe to it? What, in terms of content, is the required standard now?
Well, that's an interesting question, because for me, a better part of my career, and the reason why I call myself a content creator or storyteller is because I don't want to be limited to one medium. So I do film, I do television, I do theater, I do, you know, performing arts. And with that, I've become an advocate, especially as a Black woman with Caribbean descent, when we are bombarded with US content and their standards, right? We tend to look at that. I've sort of become an ambassador to say we really have to tell our stories from our perspective and our unique way, and then develop our own language of filmmaking and or of storytelling, right? So even though we can look and we can analyze a Hollywood film or look at these things, let's look at the Bollywood industry.
Yes.
They've created their own industry with their own language.
Yes.
And so we now know that they break out into dance sequences and what have you, and it's fun and it's accepted. The same with Asian market as well. When we look at Chinese films and what have you, and their folklore and how they do it. So what I've become an ambassador with is looking at the Caribbean and or our diaspora, because we're all over the world, and say, what is our language? What is the way we tell our stories? Let us not be discouraged hearing our own accents, seeing ourselves in our own environment. How is our day-to-day life is? What does our romance look like? You know, what does, you know what I mean? So for me, I don't want to put us in a box to say, you must tell the story this way. I'm more encouraged, even when we're looking at the film, saying, how did someone tell the story in a unique way? How does it get me excited to say, oh my gosh, we have a very standard, love stories are very formulaic, right?
Yeah.
How did this love story?
Not Belizean ones.
Well, this is,
Belizean
this is
are
what
hot
I'm
and
saying.
steamy.
So to even hear
Very
that,
romantic.
now I'm really excited. You know, and you're very right. You know, how do we show these things? How do we love? How do we live? Right? Whether it's in Belize, whether it's in Jamaica, or what have you. And then, even with the organization who I was working with before, Caribbean Tales, we were like, is there a Caribbean language as there is U.S.? You know, China or Asian, as I said, or in Bollywood, or even as we know now too, Nigeria and Ghana with Nollywood.
Yes.
So it's very distinct. So that's sort of the encouragement that I'm going with, looking at the various industries that have popped up to deal with how we tell our stories from our regions.
You've alluded to a particular thing, which is the genuineness of the story.
Yes.
And we've seen with Bollywood and with the African movies that are coming over, films that are coming over, that there's a call to a more genuine thing. I was reading an article actually that was saying that we really should read more movies with subtitles because there's a genuineness to it. In terms of coming in as jurors, are there any expectations that you have in terms of what you would like to see in the movies?
I think Nicole alluded to it. It's and what you were just talking about. It's an authenticity to the, you know, you're not just trying to copy the latest Hollywood film or the latest independent film, or, you know, there's, you know, because we have so many films from so many countries. You know, is there an authenticity to that culture, and but still making it universally accessible that, you know, other people will appreciate it, and I think originality and creativity. That's, for me, that's what I look for. Is there some spark of originality, and that doesn't necessarily need to be in the whole story. It could be in the style or the tone or the performance or the editing or the cinematography, but something unique that we haven't seen before.
Absolutely.
The bottom line is, will it make them laugh? Will it make them cry?
Will it evoke some emotion?
Will it make them feel a character? Will they feel anything? It's a lot of it.
You know,
Does it pull you in? It's hard to. We're not really asking them to do a rating like, did it do this? Did it do that? Did it do that? That's a formula, and you never know when the magic hits. And film is magic. Someone can do the same formula, and and that's what happens all the time. A hit movie is made, and everyone tries to make replicas, but it doesn't quite do it. Yeah. Even so, looking for a formula is kind of, you know, not asking stuff. I wanted to actually mention that I've worked with Nicole in the past at Niche. We did work with Caribbean Tales Incubator, and one of the things we wanted to do with Belize is get as many different. She was the pitch coordinator, I would say. So putting projects together in order to be pitched properly to someone was one of her areas, and that's something we wanted to work with people that have stories to tell. What do you have here? Do you have a budget? Do you have an idea? Do you even have a script? Are you coming? I mean, you're not ready yet. A lot of people aren't ready yet. They think they have an idea, and they never stop to think.
Well, that's where I want to jump in, because everybody has great ideas, but it doesn't mean it's a film. It's just an idea.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing that I think in my career in dealing with workshopping with incubators or what have you is your idea is not a film. We need to hone that, find the story, and can you even present it in a sentence or two to even express, to pitch to somebody, to get in the door, right? And so it's really interesting people's perception of what film is. And I think it's good in the time that we're in now, because back in the day, and see, I'm like, don't let the young face fool you. I think I was the last generation where we had to cut and splice film together for editing. Yeah. I was the last year in my film school for that. That's how old we are. That's how old I am.
And we all spliced, didn't we?
But what technology does too is that it allows more accessibility. We don't need the big honkering film, equipment and stuff like that. That is very expensive. We can make films on phones and what have you. But where I do a call is really understanding strong storytelling and how do you do strong storytelling. It's not just shooting something and you're there and what have you. What is the development of the story? How are you putting it together? And what is that structure? Even if you break all the rules and what have you, you need to have a conscientious mind and way of doing it as opposed to just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
A deliberateness. You can help me as a layperson as well, though, because I believe there are different forms of films. There are different kinds of films. There's short films. Could you
this
go
year
through?
This year we have there's 4 competitive categories. There's the human condition, where we're looking at films that talk to the mere fact of being human, falling in the romance, the dealing with death, dealing with poverty, dealing with insecurities. So that's the human condition category. There is the collective memories, where we have been looking for films specific to the region, stories like biographies about people, places, things, events that have shaped our region.
Docufilms.
It can be fiction. It can be fiction. There's been many feature films made about the Garcia sisters who were at the fore of the Dominican Republic independence, in times of butterflies, things like that. It can be a feature film. It doesn't have to be a documentary. So like we have My Santa from Venezuela in these films, and this is about a revolutionary person who they call the American, who based on at the turn of the century in Venezuela, who based on things that had happened to his family, he decided to head the revolution, and that's a fiction film. So we have some documentaries on reggae and that movement that shaped the region, and we also have.
And there's short films too.
We have about 18 short films. Those are pretty much open to the world. So we just wanted to see really good storytelling, and so it is an international.
What makes it a short film? Is the length?
Pretty much.
What?
We would prefer 15 minutes and under, although we have made a few exceptions for about 2 for like 20 minutes or so. We do have a Belizean actor, a young gentleman who about 30, who acts in one of them called What's Your Name, and he will be joining us this weekend. He's coming in from LA to be with us. Nice. For his film, which is screening Saturday. So all the films are screening at the
screening means it's going to be shown.
Be showing at the Bliss. The opening starts Thursday at 6, the red carpet gala, and the opening film is called Ruben Blades Is Not My Name, which is about a Panamanian actor, singer, political candidate. He's done everything, and a lot of people know about him in different aspects and don't really realize he's also a lawyer as well. So this is like his life story, and it's very interesting. So you gotta come see it. We have a short film from a Belizean American from New Orleans. It's called The Melancholy Man, and she's going to shoot a short film here soon, which will be a concept for a feature film she's hoping to film next year, also here in Belize. So we're very excited to meet Samantha Aldana as well tomorrow night. And Friday and Saturday, films are screening from 1 until 10 at the Bliss. But we also have another category called the Green Globe that I have mentioned before, which starts today. At 10 o'clock and 1:30, we're showing environmental films for an hour to the schools and anybody who wants to come in and watch some environmental films that were made in Belize. We've been working very closely with World Wildlife Fund and Belize Marine Fund and Oceana and a host of other environmental partners to put together the main event, which is a screening this evening at 6 o'clock, followed by a panel discussion. We'll be screening A Plastic Ocean, which speaks to the pollution in our oceans, all the plastics that are out there that's killing the marine life, and it will be followed by a panel discussion with key members of the environmental community and government agencies, the UNESCO Secretary General. We're going to be talking about the fact that the Belize Barrier Reef got off the endangered list, UNESCO list. We're going to talk about what fisheries is doing in terms of how we're going to be working to keep the reef, to keep the seas clean. We'll be speaking, people will be speaking to examples of collaboration between the public and private sector to preserve areas. And as well, we're going to talk about the single-use plastic ban coming up.
What's the access fee?
There's nothing, it's free tonight. This
It's
is
free
being
tonight.
supported by the environmental community,
Nice.
so you can come to the panel.
I like that kind of support.
Yes. We're also doing, it's called a block party, but it's going to be in Battlefield Park on Friday. So while the films are being screened at the Bliss from 2 to 8, we will be also having booths to explain about the lionfish issue.
Yes.
There's lots of environmental groups will be having booths, and when the sun goes down about 5:30, we'll also be screening a lot of different films on a big screen that we'll be having there as well up to 8 o'clock. So that's obviously open to the public as well. There'll be music, there'll be games, there'll be a bouncy
Food,
house.
popcorn.
You can buy food. We're not going to try and knock out the vendors. There's lots of vendors on Albert Street that you can purchase from.
But
We just-
popcorn, no.
You can buy that too. I'm sure someone will sell you popcorn.
Like by then Central Drugstore will be closed, so we need popcorn out
That's
there.
all right, Bluebird, they're right down the street. But so that's part of the trying to get the community involved, because all these environmental issues affect us, whether it's happening inland or everything ultimately flows to the sea.
Suzette, being the innovator of this initiative, 13 years old, it's a pubescent teenager. How do you measure and mark the progress and evolution of the film and its impact on Belize?
It has variations each year. Each year we evolve. We're very happy with the interest that we're getting from outside for watching the film. We're very happy with the support that we get in the country, because it's a huge undertaking and it can't be done solely by Niche, which produces the festival. We count a lot on private sector support. So when we're able to count on their support each year from places like Digi, like Belize Bank, like Atlantic Bank, and the environmental community now, as well as a host of others
You
that
can
also
start.
support.
Man, I said so, man. You get in trouble.
I know. Basically, it lifts our spirits because it knows that we can have this happen. We've seen the young people start to get engaged. We've started to reach out to the schools. We're starting to get students. We get a bunch of student volunteers now. Especially from St. John's College, Sixth Farm. They do community service with us. So it's evolved from just being students to now the tourism class is interested in actually working on it and honing their craft by helping with the guests, and at the same time they get to watch films. So we've seen young people get exposed. They ask if they can go in and see films, and we were like, by all means, go. We see the interest. We know they're making films. We know that the young people are making films on their phones, and they love editing. So we've introduced 2 seminars this as well that are also going on at the same time. We're looking at post-production, a seminar which is also open to the public Friday morning from 9 to 12. And that will be headed by Greg Emerson, and he works currently at Warner Brothers Animation Studios.
Wow.
But he has worked on a lot of films like Avatar. He has a whole slew of them, major studios. And he's going to be explaining to anyone that comes, not just schools, about how you can do editing, motion graphics, how you can look at a career in animation. And then we have the other juror, Flavia, will be speaking about 11 o'clock on the intro to new media, because he's very excited to tell everyone about how you can make movies on a phone.
Have we been seeing an increase in locally created movies?
We have seen some over the years, and then we have seen some pull back as they assess what they're doing and taking in instruction, and said they're waiting a little bit more to create a film. We've seen the interest rise. And we've also have music videos. I forgot to mention. We do accept. We do have a category for local music videos, and we have 10 films in competition. They're also on the website.
I'm always curious to find out why we don't have animated movies in these, because I mean it's something that I don't know, as you guys who do the actual work and know what it involves. To me, it's a little less involved. You have a little bit more control of your actors, and it's voice over, so you can. And I know it's more difficult technically, but for some of the challenges that I would foresee with the level of acting that we have in Belize and the like, it might take away some areas, and there's a little bit more control. But it doesn't seem that we've had very many.
Actually, reverse.
It's reverse.
I would say so.
You see why you speak to experts?
Yeah. Well, animation in itself is an art form that's extremely expensive. Like if you think film is expensive,
And
10 times more in animation. Period. And then when you're saying, is it easier? Well, because you don't see the physical person, voice acting and actually even having that emotion and stuff. I don't know if you see an animation character jumping over a cliff. How do we do that with our voice while watching? I guess it's like, I don't know.
Well, in terms of, I would assume that when you go on set, the weather, so if you're trying to shoot, the rain might go, but if you are...
But that's exactly the questions that Greg will talk to on Friday at the place. So they should, anybody who's interested in that should come out from 9 to 12, because he's really the expert, not us, on that particular field. But one of the reasons why we're working with him is we know that in Belize there's lots of graphic designers.
Yes.
And there are people doing really fabulous animation commercials and stuff. We want to see that go farther. We think there's a lot of great talent here, and we want to try and harness it and see if when they make the next big Avatar or Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, instead of sending all the work out to Guatemala or to Colombia, where there are lots of, I call them animation farms. It's probably not the right term, but the work, some of the rendering work, some of the beginning work, we are also looking as to gather all these animators. We have a meeting scheduled for Saturday with these already working animators or drawers. I'm saying drawers, artists. To talk and to meet with Greg personally, so we can assess where we are and see what can be channeled here.
Well, we're a bit out of time, but I want to give you guys a final opportunity to say anything in relation to the 13th edition of the Belize International Film Festival, which is from November 8th to November 11th.
With the preview event on the 7th.
With the preview event on the 7th.
Tonight.
Is there anything you want to leave the audience with?
I'm going to be involved with the script workshop.
Script seminar is taking place Saturday all day as well. So there was the animation side and the script side. So then it's basically with that one, we're inviting all those people who have already written stories, and we want to work on adapting those stories to script. So that's with Final Draft. Final Draft is one of the world's leading software for script writing. So they'll be here as well, and all the participants in that seminar will get a conference site lemon.
Where's that and what is
that will take place Saturday at BTEC, the IT Vet compound, at the BTEC conference room.
And the cover fees?
There is a cover fee of 30 for that, although that's mainly for lunch. That's mainly to cover lunch. But the benefits you'll get, they will explain all about the Final Draft, how it works. You'll get a copy, a trial copy to work with. They'll be talking about getting the story to script.
That's US, 30 US or 30 Belize?
You can give us US if you want. We have no objections. Just like we pesos. But the objective with that is we want to see Belizean stories reach the screen. We know we have writers here, so we're not asking you to come from scratch. There is some homework to be done before, so it would be good to reach out to us at info@belizefilmfestival.com as soon as possible. Opening night and closing night. Opening night starts at 6. It includes a red carpet arrival, the ceremony, and the movies. $20 up to today. Tomorrow it's $25. It's open to the public. People are invited. That we are invited, but if you want to come and you were not on the list, you can, as long as you have $20, you can show up.
Sure.
Same with the closing. We have a concert, like a closing awards ceremony and concert, where we feature at 3 performances from the music video selections. So we focus a lot on showcasing our Belizean talent there as well. So again, it's the same thing. It's going to be shown live on 5, but if you want to come in person, you can get your turn on the red carpet. We start at 3:30, and for the closing on Sunday, we show the closing film Torch by Christopher Coppola, and starring our dear friend Polo Lightbird.
Polo Lightbird.
Horacio Guerrero,
Yes.
Shelley Huber from San Pedro, so they'll be there on the red carpet, which happens after the film. So 3:30 to carpet, and at 6 the ceremony should start.
Well, that is surely exciting news, and we surely look forward to it. Film somehow has our heart. I don't know why.
Well, absolutely, and I'll just be short. Like, do something exciting, do something different. Come out this weekend, meet us, see different films. You know, let's get away from the television. Not to say that you don't watch this, but come out, enjoy art. That's what it is, live art. It will be wonderful. So we hope to see you there.
That's a wonderful place to end off. I want to thank you guys for coming in and
you.
enjoy Belize.
Thank you.
That's what we do, living here.
Looking forward to it.
And we wish you, Zaiden, we thank you for the work that you've been doing. It's invaluable. Please continue.
Thank you for the support.
But we have to take a break. And when we come back on the other side of that commercial, we're going to be talking nice and cuddly about Christmas and about the Salvation Army kettle drive. So stay tuned.